Mama! Here she comes. Give her a hand. Mama, Miss Tara Proctor, as we all affectionately came to call her Mama this week, so she would not be, if you notice, like mistaken to be one of the kids. We had to distinguish her somehow, so she became Mama TP with us, and we had, as always, you know, you here had a wonderful, wonderful time, and you're going to be seeing some pictures while the youth are talking about our trip and that, but I wanted to give them just a moment to share how they saw God working or what they were doing. And Colleen, I'm going to have you go first.
At the beginning of the week, we were told what our groups were, and some of the people were in the Wicked Church were in the Wicked group, and we were told that we were going to go work out at the Audubon Society in Clear Trails, but then go to a nursing home. And we're all, you know, looking forward to the nursing home, I think, but not really towards the Audubon Society. So we went to the Audubon Society and got that over with, so we were all really looking forward to the nursing home. And when we got to the nursing home, we went to the activities room. And this one girl, she was sitting in her chair, and she was just, you know, the happiest person we could ever met. And we told her our names, and she was like, "Thank you for coming," and stuff. And then a couple of days later, we came back, and she was still in her chair in the same spot like she always was every day. And the piano teacher came in, and she couldn't barely remember us from day to day, but every time the piano teacher came in and was singing to them, she would close her hymnal book, and she would sing all the hymns without even using the book, because that's how much she loved God, and we could really tell that that was her passion, was singing.
Amen.
My group was free, and I'm not really sure, but every day we'd go to this place called the Kids Club, and every other day we would go to the Lookout Mountain and we would cut down plants. One day it happened to be raining, so we couldn't go, and instead we went to the nursing home. And I was sitting with this elderly lady named Miss Hanley, and I had my nails done, and she liked it, so I got to do her nails, and when I left, she started crying because she liked having them done, so it was special.
Kathy, did you have something you want to share?
So I was in the Love group, and we worked at a kids club and a food pantry, but at the kids club we worked with kids that had rough lives. I was talking to a little boy, and we were making crosses that day as a craft, and he's like, "Well, why are we making X's?" And I said, "This is a cross," and he said, "Do you know who died on it?" He's like, "No." And I said, "Well, Jesus did." He's like, "Why?" And I said, "Because he loved you and everyone else so much." And he's like, "I'm so glad someone loves me that much."
Oh. Or Dark.
I just want to reiterate one thing that you hear from every group that comes up here, but we have the greatest kids. And, you know, I'm not just comparing to the other churches because they're from different, you know, backgrounds and situations. I was so blessed with all these guys. You know, on our trip down, we stopped and spent the night in Nashville, and we got to go to church there. And it was a large church, but they were so kind to leave the front row open for us, and we gladly filled it like we always do. These youth are awesome. And we had lunch out, and we had big groups, so we split into groups of 4 just randomly around the Steak and Shake. And I had a family come up to me and say, "Where are you guys from? You know, we noticed your church band," and we talked a little bit. And he just said, "Your kids are awesome." You know, we see a large group like that coming in, and we kind of dread the noise and the chaos that's coming in. These kids, they sat in their little groups of 4s, and they just were so well behaved and were fantastic. And I was so thrilled I got to spend the week with them. The one story I did want to share with you guys, I got to be in a group with Brenna and Megan and Josh and Michael. And we were at Kids Club one day, and for their craft they made little fortune tellers, but instead of colors and numbers they put joy and love and peace and different things in them, and it was a really nice thing to do. And one of the kids said, "Here, let me pick a word," and I did, and it got to it, and he opened it up for me, and it said, "You're a Christian." And I said, "Oh, that's sweet. Do you know what that means?" And he goes, "No, I don't know what that means." I said, "Well, do you know who Christ is, who Jesus is?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, then you're a Christian if you believe in his sacrifice. Do you know how he died?" And he goes, "Yeah, he was shot." I keep in mind these are, you know, young inner city kids. And so it was nice that I got to minister to him, but more importantly, the kids around him were listening, and they ministering to each other, because they were like, no, he didn't. He was beaten. And another one was like, and he hung on a cross. And it was like so special that not only did all of us have an opportunity to minister, but the YouthWorks team throughout the entire summer had clearly made an impact on these kids' lives. And I just want to thank you guys so much for your support for this wonderful youth ministry that we do here. Thank you.
I just want to, reiterate the fact that we do have a great group of kids here. And I would really want to encourage you, if you have a junior high or a senior high youth, even if you don't, to see if you can get on one of these mission trips. There's probably only, 15 or 20 minutes of really painful part of the trip, and that's at lights out. And you're just exhausted. The kids their energy seems to be ramping up. But it's really special to be away from the world for a week. None of them had cell phones. And so, you really got to spend time and focus on God. And so I just want to encourage you to try to do that if you can. I just have one story, and I'm not sure that I'll tell it anyhow, what the heck. It was Wednesday night, and I think Tyler had broken into the medicine cabinet and got a bunch of speed or something, because he was juiced up Wednesday night. And we got to the point where we were going to bed, and everyone had calmed down, and we were laying there. All of a sudden I hear boom, 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 boom. And out of nowhere comes this, Josh, I need help here. Or Colvin or Josh, I need help. What was it? You can do it. There's a song that's by a guy who's kind of crazy, Train. It just cracked the whole room up after we had tried to get everybody calmed down. It's a special time, and I really thank you for the opportunity to go serve with these youth.
I just want to say the same thing these adults have been saying. These are awesome kids. I didn't have a problem with any of them. They were fantastic, and they came together and worked together so well. Our group, Wicked, was only from this church. We didn't have anybody else from other churches, which I know some of them were upset about at the beginning. But then we got to working, and we realized that this is not the only week that we get to work together. We get forever to work together. So us becoming really, really close together was awesome. And seeing these kids take down some privet was awesome. And Mike making his own trails. But these kids are willing to serve for God, and it was an amazing sight.
Well, first of all, ditto on everything the adults have been saying. You guys have awesome kids. My group was one of the groups that got to mix with another church and go. Kathy was in that group, and Delaney was in that group, and Justin. I haven't had enough coffee today. And Justin, and we got to go to the kids club and in the food bank, like Kathy said. And one of the neat things that happened this year that has never happened before is we had been working at the kids club all week, and the kids had been loving on the kids that were there and developing relationships with them and stuff, and that was really cool. But the cool thing that happened is on Thursday, at the food bank, they had told us, they'd gone through and given us a tour of the food bank, and one of the things they told us is that they offered food to the area kids clubs and stuff so to feed the kids during the summer. And our kids were like, well, that's cool, that's neat. But what happened Thursday was really cool, because Thursday, they actually saw one of the staff members that they had gotten to know at the kids club actually picking out food for the kids at the kids club that we worked with. So it was really neat for the kids to see how that full circle actually happens and what an impact it had. And that food bank, them working at that food bank was actually helping the kids that they were loving on in the afternoon. And so that was just really neat for them to kind of see how that whole picture works together and how God just uses that whole thing to bring glory to Him. And so these kids were really awesome. It was really cool to watch God work in each of their lives in different ways. And I highly recommend, if you haven't been on a missions trip, you should check it out. It's awesome.
When we were at the kids club, there was this little boy named William. He was sitting by himself and he seemed so sad, and I was worried about him. So I came up and just sat next to him and smiled at him and asked what was wrong, and he wouldn't answer. And then it made me feel so sad that he was sad. But then when we left, I could tell that I brightened up his day because he was up and going and he was smiling. And it just made me feel really good that I just made a little boy happy.
I was in the group Wicked despite my shirt. I just thought it looked cool. So I was working at Ottawa Anchors, and despite me spilling over all of our water, the guy we worked with did not kill me. He was in the back of his truck. And that's how my friend Corey found this and snapped it off a tree with their hands. The end.
You know, we call them up. You see after the high school trip, you see after the junior high trip, you see the pictures that are up here, you see the people, we bring them up live, and I always put the challenge to be praying, you know, because I know John says this at the high school times when he's with them, and I tell the junior high, because it's a truth that I want carried, that we want carried all the way through, that what you hear them talking about, the lady that she's talking about, Miss Daisy, that was singing, you know, every morning we walk into Miss Daisy, you know, Miss Daisy, I had to tell her who I was. But when it came to singing a song, it didn't matter what it was. You started that song, she knew it for Jesus, and she sang. And they got to see, wow, that's that Christ coming out, and the painting of the nails. You know, how little, how small, you know, it can be a service. Sometimes we think it has to be this humongous thing, you know, and Brenda just willing to paint someone's nails that day. And as Mike took her back, you know, not Brenda, but the lady, took her to where she had to go, you know, she's bragging, showing people her nails, and she's crying because someone blessed her with just painting nails, you know, and we try to emphasize with the youth, and this is what we ask you to pray, that what they saw in people, the way God used them in big and small ways, that's the same God we have here at Williamsville. It's the same God that we have in Sherman. It's the same God that we have in this area that wants to use them in big and small ways to accomplish what he has to get accomplished. And that's why we ask you to pray, you know, because the trips are fun, you know, and the trips are exciting. There's fun parts to it, there's hard parts to it, there's tearful parts to it, there's scary parts to it. It's a great picture of what it means to walk with Christ. And they got a great introduction. I'm thankful for these guys and gals being here. Please keep lifting them up in prayer, you know, so they can be wicked, they can let people know about the security. They can walk on this earth as a bunch of losers, you know, and if you don't know what any of that means, and yeah, they can roll around and come out of the mud, and all that be free, and all that, if you don't know what their t-shirts, talk with them. They'll tell you what it represents. So, would you do me a favor and just give a big hand for being there?